Hello everyone! Are you perhaps a leather worker? Or do you simply wear leather products quite a bit in our game? Well, then it's most likely that you have at some point either worked with the FFXIV company or wore some of the clothing. The FFXIV name is actually the Leatherworking Guild in Gridania. Did you know the leatherworking in Gridania used to be a heavily guarded trade secret? You see, while you might think that they have so much leather to get because they are in the 12th wood and there are animals absolutely everywhere, they are actually quite limited on leather. That is because the elementals rule the 12th wood and there is a certain balance that has to be kept. So with a lot of animals around, not all of them are actually available to be grabbed and made into new leather products. This forced the Ellison of the 12th wood to adapt, learning to make something using every single part of the animal. Nothing could go to waste. Every cut of the leather has to be deliberate, and every scrap has to be used for something. At the beginning, there were several leatherworking artisans in the 12th wood, but with limited supply, they formed a leatherworking guild to make sure everybody got their share of the leather. And they practiced the trade with gratitude to the animals whose lives were lost for them to get their material. And with cooperation, learning from one another, and with the constant focus of not wasting anything, they managed to carefully reduce the waste of leatherworking to the absolute minimum, while also crafting long-lasting and durable goods. This group finally started stamping their goods with the FFXIV name, giving you a promise of high quality with minimal waste. You can still find these goods produced within Gridania in the Leatherworking Guild, which you can join to become a leatherworker yourself. Now, once upon a time, the guild was very closed off, and the Ellisons of Gridania would not share their trade with anybody. But that has changed, and with actual cooperation with other people, they have learned a lot of new ways to work the leather, making the FFXIV name even better. And that history and pedigree is what we are going into as we join the Leatherworkers Guild. Like with every profession, we start by finding the guild. It is actually hatching tide as I record this, so everything is full of these absolutely adorable eggs. These egg decorations are not here all the time, but I think they make our video quite festive. We enter the guild and admire the different types of crafts here, including bags that I am pretty sure I could live in. Look at this. This could be my new bed. But to join, we go speak to Randall, the guild receptionist. As we speak to Randall, he explains the tenets of the guild, how every leather is precious, how the FFXIV name was created, and that even though we might join the guild, it does not mean we will be a FFXIV artisan. That is only for those who excel in the craft, and for many of those who work within the guild, it's only a distant dream. But if we apply ourselves, we might make it. And then he tells us to go speak to Guildmaster Geva, who is a brilliant artisan and responsible for the creation of a lot of the FFXIV products. So we go meet the lady and ask if we could also become a leatherworker. Turns out we are also wearing the same outfit. Oh dear. I hope she does not take offense. No, it turns out Geva is actually quite scary. She does explain that we are not to touch the FFXIV product. Our products will not be a FFXIV product. We are a novice, and she is not even sure we are worthy of being in the guild. She also says that if we dishonor the guild, she will flay us and make us into a chocobo saddle. This is feeling way riskier than I expected. But we don the knife and speak to Geva. Now, the first test wasn't very hard. He wanted to see if we could hold the knife without cutting our hand, which is hold it by the handle, not the pointy end. Now, the first things he wants us to do is simply craft some circles of leather to prove that we can actually use the knife. Thankfully, we do not have to go hunting for skin. A lot of the early supplies we can actually get here from Oskid, who is our guild supplier. So we grab some leather, we cut it into circles, and we bring it back to the guildmaster. And she confirms what we have made is leather. It's terrible leather. It's pretty much unusable, but it's leather, which does show a promise. So the leather was good enough to allow us to stay Though she will not be responsible for training us, that is something we have to figure out on our own. So we practice and return back to Geva at level 5. Geva has a moment of quiet, so she wants to see how we're progressing, instructing us with crafting 3 leather chokers. She doesn't seem to have a lot of high hopes for us, but at least there is some chance she might like them. We craft the best leather chokers we can, and we hand them in for inspection. And they are recognizable as leather choker, though apparently an Obo could have achieved similar results given skin, sinew, and time. But still, we did fulfill our order, and Geva is quite pleased. So pleased, in fact, that she wants to teach us something. She explains the leather choker is really important. Just like the metal gauze one can wear around the neck, the leather choker is more flexible, but also gives protection to the neck, making it very good for everyday work and especially for the hunters out in the field. And for our hard work, she gives us an all, so we can continue our training. It's not till level 10 that we manage to get Geva to speak to us again. And he does have a new task for us, if we believe we have improved, which I do, so of course we take it. Geva tells us the guild has gotten a really big order in lately, and because of that we are pretty much out of hard leather. So we are to quickly go and craft a dozen hard leather circles for her, which is very exciting. We might actually take part in a proper order, so we hurry up to do just that. We ever so carefully craft each leather lovingly, making sure there's not a single scrap that goes to waste, that is perfectly circular and hopefully up to Geva's standard. We proudly present the leather to Geva as he tells us the leather looks great. It will be perfect as training supplies for new initiates. And then she laughs at us when we say that we were kind of hoping it would be part of like the proper order. But apparently that was never the plan. We are not even close to being ready to crafting something that is gonna have the Fennel name in it. Though, if we keep on improving at the pace we're doing, maybe her grandchildren or great-grandchildren will get some products from us in the future. Yay! But with this, we are allowed to at least take on small commissions of our own that simply do not hold the Fennel name, but we are trusted enough to actually make something marked by the guild. It does show we are actually improving, and Geva does not mind our creations at least. So we work on several commissions before returning back to Geva at level 15. As we arrive, Geva seems to be in a little bit of a cross mood. It turns out that she had somebody crafting a pair of hard leather caliag and hard leather chokers for a client. But when the products were brought in, they were completely unworthy of the Fennel name. And when she told this to the crafter in her usual harsh Geva-like manner, the poor crafter ran away crying, leaving snot and tears in their wake. Now Geva was mortified. The client might have to wait, and that is not gonna work. So we are gonna be given the chance to craft something in the Fennel name. Yay! This woman is terrified. And that is only because he knows that if we mess up, we will at least have the common decency to go grovel in front of the client and beg for more time for the guild to finish off the work. We carefully craft the requested items, not wanting anything to go wrong before we turn them in. And then, with pounding heart and sweaty hands, we turn them in for Geva's inspection. Geva carefully inspects our wares and decides they're not quite fit to go to the customer yet. They're still far better than expected. There are some minor details that need reworking. The stitching needs to be tighter, for example. She is going to handle that while we will go and apologize for the delay to the client. So we find the client, which is Sosabati, a merchant from Ulda, and we kneel in front of them, begging forgiveness for our delay. Now Sosabati seems kind of surprised by this display, and is surprised that we are groveling in front of him simply because the order is delayed. Now, speaking to Sosabati is actually quite interesting. This is a regular customer of the guild. So he is quite aware that sometimes there are delays, and he prefers there to be delays because then he knows we are not scrimping on the quality. But he tells us that the fact that Geva is actually fixing our product means he sees a lot of potential in us. Because what he usually does is he takes the product he doesn't find good enough and he cuts it apart in front of the crafter. It does sound kind of wasteful, but okay. So the fact that she is actually just adding to it and fixing minor mistakes means that we have a bright future within the guild. And so Sabati promises next time he places an order, he's gonna ask for us by name. And the whole bowing thing, well, it's simply Geva's way to teach us good way of business. It might be humiliating and a bit of a pain, but it is an education worth bearing. And that is being said by somebody from Ulda, which is the capital of commerce in Eorzea. So I'm gonna take his word for it. We return to Geva again at level 20, and she tells us she has a challenging task waiting us. Now this quest is actually to teach us about materia melding and using the market board. So what we do is to craft some Aldgoat leggings and adhere a materia to it. It is not a complicated quest, but it is important for a new player to learn new aspects of the game. So we bring back the leggings with some Savage Might materia attached to them because that is the one I managed to obtain. And they could be worse, which is a high praise. Now Geva shares with us an interesting fact. Once upon a time, leggings were not the fine crafted leggings we have today. They used to be just a strip of cloth that somebody wound around their legs from ankle to knee. Though today, extending the leggings up to the thigh is far more popular. And soft leggings, reaching this high, give both great protection, but also allow balance and flexibility that the wood whalers and god quivers require, along with adventurers like ourselves. Or at least if you're playing one of the jobs that require leather goods. And if she would give us a grade, we would get a 6. No, a 7. This is not bad. Though we of course ask, what do we have to do to get the remaining 3 points? Because we want to get a 10. Now, her explanation is kind of weird. She asks us if we know about the life of an Aldgoat, how they live, how they die, how their skin is made. For a fennel artisan, we have to understand this. It's not our crafting that needs improving, but us. We need to study our material and learn their history. And that is going to help us improve. So that is what we do. We throw ourselves into exploring the wild, observing creatures, understanding how their life ends, and then we return at level 25. To a very upset-looking Geva. Now we do, for a moment, wonder if we should bother her at all, or maybe just hide, like everybody else seems to be doing. But our curiosity wins over, and we go ask her, what's the matter? And she's mad. She's very mad. She is threatening to tear the skin from somebody. Apparently some Ulda merchant is trying to blacken our good guild's name. He's claiming some toad leather we sold him is of inferior quality, claiming the leather was both unevenly tanned and reeking of toad slime, making it clear that whoever made the skin had no idea how to work with toad leather at all. So there is no chance in the Seven Hells that it came from our guild, meaning there is somebody out there pretending to be part of the guild who isn't. And while this issue isn't our fault, Geva is determined to make it right. We are to craft some circle of toadskin leather and bring to her. And not just any toadskin leather, it has to be the best. We hand over the leather and she is laughing like a maniac. But she seems happy. And that's what matters, right? She's not gonna skin us at least. And then she gives us our second task, which is to go down to the Carline Canopy and shove our leather into the guy's face. Oh, I love this woman. It does not take us long to find Amar, who is yelling about how utterly unacceptable and shameful our product is. We show him the leather and explain how the leather he has is absolutely not our product, and he can see the difference. He tells us there was a merchant named Angerbroda who claimed their leather was Gridanian made, and he simply thought they were somehow affiliated with the Fen-Il name. But apparently, the person was also selling it at fraction of the time, a fraction of the price? Amar, you should know better than this. Fen-Il does not compromise on time or price. Thankfully, he does see that this is his own fault and not ours. So he will work on fixing his mistake, which is good. I mean, honestly, dude, why would you think a high-quality product like the Fen-Il leather would be sold by some random person for only a fraction of the price? That makes no sense. I think this man should consider maybe changing his profession. Being a merchant might not be for him. At least we can bring the good news back to Geva. And apparently he was actually faster than us. He came over and begged for forgiveness in person. And Geva claims that she has witnessed some groveling in her time, and that was a truly masterful display. Bowing, stuttering, sniveling, it had it all. It seems this has truly perked her up again. But she's still concerned about this Angrboda thing. Now apparently, the man was told it was a new Gridanian brand, but well, nobody in the Leatherworking Guild has ever heard of it. And the quality is so atrocious that it can't be from us. Geva isn't sure who it is, but she does ask us that if we ever meet the man, then we would be doing her a favor. If we would play his skin and make her a pair of soles, so she can grind him into the dirt every single day. I adore this woman. Now sadly, we don't find him, so we can't bring her any new souls. But at level 30 we return for a new quest. She tells us an older gentleman came by the guild demanding that his commission would be given priority. Now, Geva of course refused him without hesitation and threw him out. But now, when she thinks about it, perhaps his demand was not because of impatience, but desperation. So she asks us to go find the man and see what he wanted the commission for, so we can make sure it's not something life-threatening. And we of course happily go to find the poor man, and I'm glad we did, because we find Camelaine looking ever so sad. He apologizes for his behavior at the guild, and asks that we at least let him start from the beginning. He explains that he heard about this Angrboda branded leather that is supposed to be a good quality but cheaper than Fen-Il, and he is a poor man. So when he had to buy some armor for his boy, well, he went for this Angrboda thing, only to be disappointed. To an untrained eye, it looked fine, but he used to serve as a wood whaler, and he knows that armor would not have stood up against any Ixali weapons. Now they made it as cheaply and quickly as they claimed, but he had not expected the quality to be this bad. If he had known, he would simply have scrounged up the extra gil and gone to Fen-Il fineries in the first place. And now he is in trouble because his boy is about to enlist in the Whalers, and he wants to give him something that will last him a lifetime. Something he could wear when the time came to fight. Something he could even pass down to his own son when we would have one. If he would have one. But with the Angrboda stuff, well, he wouldn't be alive long enough to even have a son. So he begs us to please make him a toadskin jacket. And honestly, I kinda just feel sorry for the man. He's been scammed, like the merchant. Now, this is of course a good lesson for him that sometimes lower price and faster speed does not mean a good product. He's still in a heap of trouble, and his son is gonna go out there with shoddy protection. So we go to Geva to make his case. Geva thinks about it only for a second before deciding we're allowed to craft the coat. We are to craft it and then present it to her for inspection. After all, we're not sending the boy out with shoddy craftsmanship. We quickly craft the toadskin jacket, making sure it's gonna withstand generations of wear and tear, and then we bring it to Geva. And it's looking quite fine. In fact, Geva says it's our best work yet. The spolders and rest are made from the finest toadskin, and the goatskin backing alone will provide solid protection. It is the perfect balance between mobility and protection, and is bound to last a lifetime. Even two. And she believes the father will definitely agree when he sees it. We find Camelaine again on the bridge, lamenting about how he was thinking about Gil when he should have simply gone for the best. And now his son is gonna go out there as a whaler, dressed in some crap. But not on my watch. We hand him the jacket, explaining it's a gift from the guild. And he is stunned. It is the finest leather equipment he has seen in years, and he knows his son is going to be thrilled to receive it. And I think this was a pretty good proof that Geva does have a heart. When in the right circumstances, he can look past the money and do what is right for Gridania and the people of the city. Now, Geva is wondering about this new crafter. You see, there is a leatherworking expedition coming up. It is a great place to publicize your brand. And she wonders if this new person is gonna try to show off their wares there. I mean, surely they are aware they cannot compete with real leatherworkers. But Geva is still hoping they will try, because it would be hilarious to see artisans and merchants from every corner of Eorzea casting judgment on their shoddy work and proclaim their disgrace. It would be beautiful. When we come back at level 35, Geva is frustrated. Apparently the work made by the guild's ranks as of late just isn't up to snuff. She's not sure if it's the upcoming expedition that's distracting them, or the whole Angerboda business, but this won't do. They gotta get their act together, and they got to do it now. Otherwise, we're gonna risk losing our business to that charlatan. She needs somebody to show them the quality we can bring, so, well, we have to do that. We are to bring a pair of boarskin ringbands to Geva, so it can be shown to the other members of the guild to explain that we are still the best leathercrafters around, and this is not the time to start doing shoddy work. So we, of course, make the best ringbands we can make and hand them over to Geva. And she immediately finds a flaw. There's a smudge on it. Fortunately, she's actually not looking for perfection from us, but just single-minded devotion to the craft. That is what she wanted to show everyone else. Now, ringbands are traditionally used by magic wielders, and while they may look simple, the quality of them is actually really important. Because if they are uncomfy, or in any way distract the magic user, well, it's gonna affect their magic. Now, Geva tells us that the expedition is coming up. She is going to be crafting for it and making ready, so she's going to need an assistant to deal with other commissions for the guild. And that's going to be us, because we have grown quite a bit. She is happy with our products, and she's actually pleased that we've managed to grow so much, because originally she thought we would actually make more use as leather than leatherworker. I am glad she decided not to prove that point. So we go train and return at level 40 to find a very flustered Geva. You see, while she is so busy with work, a special order has come in, an order of pair of boarskin smithy's gloves made by the guildmaster herself using her famous Geva patterns to be delivered post-haste. Now, Geva is pretty convinced that the client would not be able to tell her crafting from somebody else's, and while this usually wouldn't be an issue right now, she is up to her ears in work for the expedition, though she has a plan. Her new assistant has arrived, and we can make it. After all, I mean, the customer is going to be able to tell the difference. And when we ask about the customer condition, he simply says, "Bah, he'll get a pair of gloves made by the famous Malisity herself, and he'll like them just fine, and I'm not about to go debate her." So we craft the gloves and bring them for inspection before we take them out. Now, smithy gloves must be sturdy enough to protect the hands from the fire of the forge, but be pliant enough to not hinder the precise work when working with fine steel. And, well, that's what we managed to make. They may look bulky, but they're actually quite flexible. And in fact, we may deliver these to Fenil fineries without delay. We asked her about this whole Geva pattern thing, but she claims he won't know the difference. Though at any rate, even a fool of a client is still a valued customer. So we will bring them a quality product even though it's not from Geva herself. And with this, and so we take it over to Fenil Fineries. Now, if you didn't know, Fenil Fineries is actually a house just across from the Leatherworking Guild. Making note, this store only works in commissions, so you can't really go shop from it. but it's nice to go inside and see the products that are being sold, and some of the clients. But we don't have to go in, we find the suited blacksmith outside waiting for his gloves. We hand him the gloves, he puts them on and claims them to be the most comfortable pairs of gloves he has ever laid his hands on. And then he's surprised when we tell him the truth. The gloves aren't made by Geva, they're made by us. Now at first he seems like he's gonna be angry, but then he just starts laughing, claiming he doesn't care. The gloves are so good. And he doesn't know the first thing about leatherworkers or their patterns. It was simply another smith that told him that Geva's gloves were of peerless quality. So he just placed the order that day, sight unseen. And he's glad he did, because we brought him the most comfortable pair of smithy gloves he's ever had the pleasure to own. So he asks us to bring the smith master his utmost gratitude for the work. Oh, poor man. Now, when we go back to Geva, we do ask her about this whole Geva pattern business, because she didn't give us any pattern for the gloves. As he explains, the Geva pattern is actually not meant for the guild. It is a simpler pattern that even the more inexperienced leatherworkers can duplicate with minimal waste. It came around because years ago she made a toadskin bag that people loved. It sold out, and because of how popular it was and the high prices it could fetch, there were people out there who would try to duplicate it. And they were done so much and with such little care that the toads were nearly hunted to extinction for the leather. And Geva was mortified. So when she made the next round of the bags, she created the Geva pattern, a pattern that everyone should be able to replicate with minimal loss. It was more economical and with better respect to nature. But people in the guild already respect nature. They already know which ideals we strive to, so we don't need the patterns. We can work with our own patterns because everything we build should already follow the same rules as the Geva patterns. And that is why she didn't give us the pattern at all. Now we continue our work and return at level 45 to a half-crazed guildmaster who's just running around like a headless chocobo. So we ask her if she needs a helping hand. Now she's glad to see us because he claims we are a woman who can do the work of 3 women, which is good because 3 good-for-nothing colleagues of ours just walked out of the door, leaving 3 commissions of the highest priority unfulfilled. Geva, what did you do? We ask her at least when were these meant to be delivered, and she says, well, yesterday, last week, and 4 fortnights ago. That is a long time. What the hell is going on? Now, to make amends for the delay, Geva has personally assured each of the clients that the item will be of peerless quality. That's what we are gonna have to fulfill. How are we 4 fortnights behind on an item? Oh, this is terrible. We of course quickly run to start crafting these items, taking every care to make them absolutely perfect because the clients are probably upset and this looks terrible for the business. And if it looks bad for the business, it looks bad for us. So after some delicate crafting, we return to Geva with our new crafted items. A raptor skin targe, choker, and gloves. She gives us a little bit of information about the items we crafted. First is the gloves. They are fingerless because many warriors prefer to have fingerless gloves, as it allows them to better grip their weapons. And now, of course, the well-crafted choker protects the neck without impairing breathing or causing undue discomfort. And finally, the targe, which is of course made for defense, but also has the quality of being able to intimidate and even injure a foe. Now, all we need to do is deliver these items, and Geva claims that the next person who will disturb her while she's working on the expedition stuff is gonna be made into the centerpiece of her display. So we quickly grab the items and get out of here before we become the centerpiece. Now, the first client we speak to is Nahago, who is furious. She is the one that has many fortnights ago commissioned a choker and she still hasn't gotten it. She tells us that if we are here just to tell her it's delayed again, she is taking her business to Angrabotha and gonna tell her friends to do the same. Thankfully, we have the choker, we give it to her and she is stunned. She loves it and still she tries to be angry, claiming the choker is just a choker and even her father could fashion the likes of it with his one remaining arm tied firmly behind his back. He claims we're neglecting our clients in favor of designing frivolous fashion for some ridiculous expedition. And then we bring shoddy works to our clients. Excuse me, lady. Maybe you should start watching your mouth. He claims even our own guild people have gotten enough of the guildmaster, and that people now want speed and value for the guild. And we offer neither. Well, that's not promising at all. Though I do understand, of course, why she's angry. If she's been waiting several months for a simple choker, this feels like this somehow has gone out of hand. But we got more deliveries to make. So next we go to Pimo Nala. She ordered the gloves and she is very pleased with them, claiming it's impressive that we managed to keep up this quality of goods while also having the expedition just around the corner. Our final client is in the Caroline Canopy. He's been waiting for a week now for his targe. Thankfully, we have it, and he is thrilled about it, claiming he would gladly wait twice as long for this quality, which is why he found the rumors of mass resignation quite distressing. And he's not wrong, I also find them quite distressing. Why are our fellow guild members quitting? Things definitely don't feel right now, and this is a terrible time for things to be uncertain, as the expedition is just around the corner. And honestly, it almost feels like we were sabotaged by our own members there. I mean, waiting months for a simple product doesn't make sense. We aren't known for delaying this much. It feels like it was done on purpose. But we go back to Geva to tell her that everything has been dealt with. And also tell her what this Nago said. And Geva is furious, claiming she wouldn't know a well-made choker even if it was used to wring her scrawny neck. Geva, please don't threaten the clients. Though she admits there is some truth to her word. No respecting guild would seek fame and fortune at the expedition, while valued customers suffer undue delays for good purchase with honest coin. And because of that, the Leatherworking Guild is withdrawing from this year's expedition. No, but I wanted to take part in the expedition. But it makes sense, I guess. Our customers must come first. But at the same time, I feel like this was always the goal. Somebody was putting us into this position to make us withdraw. Now Geva tells us there will be other expeditions in the future, but if we lose the trust of our clients, that isn't so easily gained. So her choice is final. It is a shame, but we return again at level 50. And Geva is thrilled to see us. Apparently she has several hundred deliveries to make before the next spell, despite having just 2 legs. Now withdrawing from the expedition has freed up time to devote her effort into filling guild commissions. And that's all well and good, but now she has more clients than ever. And they are not taking kindly to being kept waiting. No, we don't have time to talk about this. She hands us a choker and tells us to go to the Whistling Miller and deliver it to the client. So we take off running. We need to hire some delivery people for the guild. We can't really have the Leatherworkers also handling delivery if we are this swamped with work. But right now we don't have anybody else, so off we run to deliver things. And we find a man named Dowd and hand him the choker. He claims our craftsmanship is beautiful, and in fact it's so nice. And we seem like such a smart young woman. And why don't we come work for him? And then he introduces himself. He is no other than the founder and proprietor of Angbrotha Apparel and Accoutrements. Now, didn't I make a promise to make him into shoes at some point? Now apparently, he has been poaching people from our guild to bring their talents to his company. Because there they don't have to waste hundreds of hours learning how to stitch the perfect seam when a perfectly serviceable seam will suffice. So he allows them to make inferior products, and he claims that his products are just as durable as Geva's overrated rubbish, but crafted in half the time for a fraction of the cost. And in fact, he invites us to come to the expedition and judge the products for ourselves. Though he claims it's sad that the Leatherworking Guild won't be there this year, he was looking oh so much forward to defeating Geva. Though he claims Geva backed out, not because he had so much work to do, but because he knew her products were inferior. Oh, this man. He's making a mistake. He bids us to remember his offer. And we run back to the guild to tell Geva we found the bastard. And there is some shoemaking in our future. Also, he's actually going to be part of the expedition, and I am not okay with him being part of the expedition and me not. Therefore, we have to convince Geva to join the expedition again. Now, before we can tell Geva anything, she tells us he just heard the most distressing rumor. Apparently, leatherworkers from across the realm are withdrawing from the expedition at an alarming rate. And if this keeps on going, then Angrboda is gonna win. Just because, well, they're gonna probably be the only one there. Now Geva is distressed because he can't represent our guild in the contest. But he also doesn't want this talented tack to claim the prize. After all, the prize is rightfully ours. Now we tell her that Dodd of Angrboda was actually our client. He's the one who commissioned the choker, and he tried to poach us. Now she tells us if she had known he was the client, she would have delivered it herself, because he actually knows him. He used to be an adventurer and an aspiring leatherworker, but the two had a falling out. He apparently had just strolled through the door one day wearing a shit-eating grin and holding a jerkin that looked like it had come out of the wrong end of an Aldgoat. And Geva told him as much. So he ran out of the door crying like a child. And that was the last she saw of him. So it turns out he couldn't make it within the guild. Now the thing is, if he wins the expedition, it means it's almost accepting that his shoddy workmanship is good enough. Being wasteful with the material is fine. No, that can't happen. So Geva gives us the most important job yet. We are to craft a raptor skin jerkin and melt it with the Gatherer's Graf's Materia 3. And then we're going to bring it to the amphitheater where the expedition is going to take place. And we will represent the guild. I am so excited. So of course we craft it, we find a stain at the amphitheater, and we hand her the jerkins with just minutes to spare before the actual judging is to take place. Now it turns out everybody seems to have crafted the same type of item to get the most fair comparison. Each jacket is brought before the judges until finally the Angrboda one is brought forward. Yvain's opinion, it's a good jacket. With numerous skins layers to afford maximum protection, it gives function over form, which a lancer cannot help but applaud. But Beaton points out that the tanning work is clumsy, though the sturdiness of the piece cannot be denied. And in times of war, speed and practicality are virtues, so he believes it's worth the consideration, though Geva asks him how many raptors he actually killed for this. But right after his show, ours is brought out, and the judges love it. Percy says he can almost feel the raptor's life force exuding from the jerkin. And Fufucha notices that not a single seam is out of place, and not a single cut of hide is wasted, meaning this was crafted with profound respect for the beast whose life was taken to create it. Lucian points out it does seem to offer superior protection to the Angrboda piece, while at the same time allowing for a greater freedom of movement, which would make it an excellent addition to the archery armory chest. And Mother Mion claims that in her line of work, she has seen so many adventurers come and go, but rarely does she see one who possesses the aptitude and diligence demonstrated by the creator of this piece. Oh, I love this woman. Though I did start in Gridania, so she was the first one to guide me on my way. So, by unanimous vote, the best leather apparel goes to us. Meaning the Leatherworking Guild has won the expedition. Now Dowd looks angry, but before he can say anything, a wood whaler comes over, because apparently the wood whalers are investigating numerous accusations of harassment, extortion, counterfeiting and poaching. Oh dear. I think our competition might be in a little bit of a trouble. So he does not just lose the competition, he is also arrested. Shame we can't make shoes out of him, but maybe the humiliation is gonna be a bit the punishment, and we can return to the guild with Geva. When we return, Geva claims we are no longer an apprentice at the guild. We are now her peer. And finally, she can focus on her work without headaches or issues. Though there is a new headache coming, as a lot of our defectors from the guilds are now knocking at the door, looking to rejoin our ranks. And while Geva would like to simply send them on their way, she knows we all can make mistakes. And even she has made some mistakes in the past, so she will let them come in again. But if they so much as think of crossing her again, they can look forward to a new life as a subligar. And that is the end of the quest line. We have learned the art of leatherworking. We have learned how to respect the creatures that we take the leather from. We have won an expedition, and we have seen the utter humiliation of a man who thought inferior work would ever be able to beat us. And so ends our journey as a leatherworker. Now thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do all the good YouTube stuff. And if you want to make sure to see all my future videos, subscribe, all that stuff. You know how it works. But for now, whatever you end up doing, I hope you have a lovely day.